but I have always been so persistent. I've always been that type of person. Like, I'm not taking no for an answer. Like, you got this door up, like, I'm going to build another door. You got this table that I can't sit at, I'm going to build my own table. Like, I've always been just that go-getter mentality. And people who know me from a personal standpoint, they can very much attest to Brittney has always been that person. And we were little, we would go to the skating rink. Like, my best friends would be like, yo, how did you find us money to go to the skating rink? Like, I had us money, I had us a ride being picked up. Like, I've always been like that person to get things done.
So the question is this: how do thought leaders, school dropouts, former and current students find out what's next after they do or don't cross that stage? If you want to know the secrets to starting the career or business of your dreams, getting paid whatever you desire, and discovering what you do the best with the least amount of effort, then this is the right podcast for you. I'm Sean Anthony, and this is School's Over, Now What? The podcast. Welcome back to School's Over, Now What? The podcast, and I'm your host, Sean Anthony. Ladies and gentlemen, each and every single week we have been crushing it. I'm excited that you've clicked that button, that you've tuned in. Either somebody's told you about this show, or either you found it on iTunes and you are ready to find out what's next, or ask yourself the question of the podcast, and that school's over, now what? And we all have been there, whether you're currently in school getting ready to get out of school, or you're right now thinking about what is your next career, or whether you want to start your business and launch a brand. This is the podcast for you. So I'm excited for you, so you can receive so much knowledge, so many keys to success. And without our listeners, this show would be nothing at all. So for those of you who have been rocking with me for the past 40 weeks, that's right, we are consistent each and every single Friday. You know I like to kick it off with the review of the week. And this review of the week goes from Brittney Jones, and they wrote, "This podcast caught my attention because if its title, School's Over, Now What, didn't already catch it, this certainly did. Like, for real, what we do? Like, what do we do?" I really enjoyed hearing Mem's story and Drew Negan's story. As a woman who is learning to brand herself, I had a lot of takeaways. Thank you for this podcast. Listen, Martini, I appreciate you for listening. And there are so many women that listen to this show. And I make sure that each and every single time that I press record, or I press, anything that's going to get out there towards the world, it has the ability to impact both men and females. So I always love to get that feedback. And if you feel the same way, if you haven't already, go ahead, scroll on down and hit that 5-star rating. You've been listening to this show, you know we're consistent, and let's make sure that you please subscribe so you're updated, whether you're listening to this right now on iTunes, or you're listening to this right now on Spotify, or if you just recently found our YouTube channel that we just launched, go ahead and subscribe to the show. All right, let's get to the reason that you click that button today, and let's talk about our guest. Our guest is none other than Brittney Carter McKinnon. You guys know I love to bring on people that's going to help create a huge impact for you. I feature some of the biggest names in the world, and I also like to feature some of the biggest names that you may not know, but you need to know. And she certainly is one of those people. She's a social media thought leader. She's an entrepreneur, and she was recently named by Huffington Post as a top 25 millennial on the rise. She's also a well-known influencer and speaker. And what I like so much about this particular interview is that she goes completely hard in everything that she does. And the way that she goes about it, she's just going to get things done. In life, you have to get things done, whether you're going up against a certain trial or tribulation. Ladies and gentlemen, she beat Bell's palsy. Out of nowhere, it impacted her and her life, and she kept pushing forward. But that doesn't define who she is. We talk about her story. we go back to her childhood and get, more insights on how does she get to where she is today, but also how does she develop the mindset that she has. And if you're in school right now listening to this, one of the biggest takeaways you're going to get from this episode is that right now, whatever you're doing in that classroom or whatever you're doing with an internship, this is your time to practice what you can get paid for in the future and become an expert at it. So that whether you land a job as soon as you get out of school or whether if you do not, you have gotten so many new skills that have been acquired to launch your own brand and launch your own business. And that's what B. Carter Solutions is about, guys. She's launched that huge brand. And what I like about B. Carter Solutions is a top performing marketing and advertising agency. And it serves companies nationwide. And it helps people grow their social media platforms. Get ready, because you already know. Get the pencil, get the pen, get the paper, however you take notes, pull out your phone. If you're listening to this right now, you're in the car, go ahead and download the episode, because trust and believe when you can, you're going to want to make sure that you pull some of these gems that she is about to drop. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 40, Get Things Done with Brittney Carter McKinnon. Welcome back to School's Over, Now at the Podcast, guys. And I am here with someone who is a top 25 millennial. She's a social media thought leader. Let's welcome Brittney to the show. How are you?
Hey, Sean. How are you? Good morning. Happy Saturday.
Oh, man, it's crazy. I'm back in North Carolina. The weather is good. Like, how is it like there in D.C., right?
It's pretty chilly, not our typical southern weather that we love to see, but it's a little chilly outside.
Definitely a bundle up season.
Absolutely.
So like you're somebody who's obviously doing your thing, and you're doing your thing across multiple platforms, and you help people grow their social media. But I want to know, you as a person, tell me a little bit about your childhood and how did you get to where you are today?
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So literally I've always been a social person. I've been throwing parties since literally the fourth grade. My friends would tell you, I've always been, I wouldn't say the life of the party, but I've always been doing something in a social atmosphere. My mom will always have sleepovers for me, from third grade all the way to eighth grade. And so I've always been that type of person to just enjoy being around people. I've always been that crazy little wild child who just loved bringing people together. And it came from my mom. My mom used to always throw us these crazy parties. All these people, why are you 4 years old with a whole a party full of 100 people?
It's crazy.
And so I've always just been loving to be around people. That really brings me true fulfillment. And, from childhood to high school to college, throwing parties, being this official fake party promoter. So, I've always been just loving being around people, connecting people, bringing people together. And yeah.
Man, that's crazy. So you're in fourth grade having parties with hundreds of people.
Well, not hundreds. We had about 20 people, 20 girls at my mom's house in the fourth grade, baking cupcakes, doing karaoke, just taking wildlife adventures in my backyard. And my best friends who hear this, I'm going to definitely send them this link. They're going to be yeah, I remember that craziness. I was just always that crazy, wild little girl who just loved being around other people.
Wow.
And it definitely started as young as the fourth grade.
That's crazy. And that's crazy ahead of the ballpark. For me, I was in the parties completely myself, and it started when I was 14.
Yeah.
So when I was 14, I threw a party, watched my brother made a bunch of money, then I went off to school and started doing it. So I definitely get what you're saying there. So your mom obviously was a heavy influence for you. What's the biggest lesson your mom ever taught you?
So, oh wow, this is so crazy. So because I know my mom. The biggest lesson my mom taught me was like, don't take no ish from nobody. Like, my mom is that really thorough, hardcore working woman. Like, my mom was a probation officer while in college, while raising two girls as a single parent. So I've seen like her work ethic so just out the roof over the top. And like, she always, like, the biggest thing from anything from her would be just to not let anyone take over you. Really know your value, know your worth, and really just work hard. Like, I literally seen her as a young child, like, be this probation officer. And as a probation officer, like, you got to be tough.
Yeah.
She had her little gun, and she little like me. So, like, she had her gun, like, she would come home. I'm like, Mom, like, you like a $110. Like, she was just so thorough, and she just ensured, like her kids were going to be taken care of regardless. And I think that, like, just from me seeing that as a young adult, as a young child, like, I've instilled that into my adulthood. So that's why I work so extremely hard now, because I've seen my mom, like, going from being a probation officer to being in college to raising two young little girls as a single parent. And I think, like, just her mode of just, like, don't let nobody walk over you just came from being in that prison. Mm-hmm. Don't let anybody walk over you. Like, don't take no ish from nobody, but, do it in a respectful way. But just really knowing who you are, knowing your worth. And I instilled that, within myself every day, and even the people that I'm around. But that was one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from my mom.
That's so
and even to this day, like, she's like, all right, like, how your business going? And I'm like, it's good, Ma. Like, but yeah, that's something like she really instilled in me growing up.
That's so real. And I'm sure, like, that mentality of not taking nothing from nobody, it had to be a time in your life where you had to go back and apply that principle.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, in business, and it'll be 5 years in April that B Card Solutions have been in business. But just over the years, man, like, first starting out, like, you don't really have that mindset because you want to do a lot of work for free. So, you don't know if somebody's taking advantage of you or not, which I'm pretty sure I did get taken advantage of. But it's the beginning, you're just starting out. So, but over the years, absolutely, like, you have to apply that principle, because if you don't, people will walk all over you, and then you'll be doubting yourself, like, dang, like, am I really worth it? Like, is my work really valuable? Are people really seeing what I can offer them? Am I really providing value to them? And so over the years, I definitely have to put that standpoint in everything that I do. Like, hey, I'm not taking, hardly anything from anyone, like, because I know my value, and I know what I can provide, and I have the results to prove it.
Yeah. So let's talk about, like, the road to B Carter Solutions, because I know it didn't come easy, and I know it took time, right?
Yeah.
So what are something, like, as you went to, like, high school, like, what were you naturally drawn to? Like, what caught your interest?
Oh gosh, Lord, it was not too long ago. What caught my interest in high school? Fashion. Uh-huh. Nothing with social media, because when I was in high school, social media wasn't even out yet. But definitely fashion caught my eye. Fashion shows, like, being around people, being the center of attention, like running for prom queen and stuff like that. Like, that's the type of stuff that caught my attention in high school. Like, I cared less about education. Like, mm-hmm. My grades were okay, but I was living in the superficial world in high school. Like, I really didn't face reality until I got to college. But high school was more so like, oh, if my outfit is gonna be cute, or if my Air Force is gonna be crisp, and putting the socks in and walking to school in the rain with the bags.
The bags.
Like, so I didn't like, oh God, it's just so crazy. Like, looking back all those years, I really just only focused on, really things that, teenagers focus on, like fashion, how you look, how your hair look, how your shoes look. I really didn't get that moment of like, okay, I'm stepping into an adult mm-hmm. until like, freshman year of college. Mm-hmm. When like, I'm now on my own. My mom like, all right, like, see you basically got to figure it out. Like, I've held your hand long enough. College is where I really, really got that. Okay, like, this is real. I'm not a child anymore. I'm not a teenager. I'm growing into like a full adult. And so college, shout out to Claflin University. mass comm building. But college is really where like I kind of found myself. I went through some struggling times in college that was very, very challenging for me. And college was really that moment where I had to wake up and be like, all right, like you're officially operating as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally doing things as an adult. You're really living this adult life. And, you know, I wasn't thinking about being an entrepreneur or anything in college. Like, I thought about partying, which most of us do as freshmen and sophomores. You know, I was dating. Like, that was the only thing I cared about. I think in my freshman, sophomore year, I had maybe like a 2.3 GPA.
Oh, that's crazy. So, like, what was your reality check? Like, what gave you that? You know what? I got to change this up.
Yo, the reality check was me almost being expelled. That was the reality check. That was the reality check, being on academic probation and almost being expelled and getting called into that office with my mom coming all the way up here, literally at like 19, 20 years old, about to rip my neck apart for being ignorant in college. And so that was the reality check. He was like, you know, Dr. Duran, shout out to Dr. Duran, who still know me to this day, freaking 11 years later. Was like, yo, you, I'm giving you this warning, but like after that, like you're going to be kicked out of here. Like if you don't get it together, like you're going to be kicked out of here. And so from that moment, that reality check, like I started being involved in more activities in mass comm. And shout out to Miss Yolanda McKinnon, who really got me on point. Was like, all right, you need to be studying this. Like you need to start applying to internships. Like what are your goals after college? Mm-hmm. And nobody's thinking about that as like a sophomore or a junior. Like we're thinking about what step show we about to go to, or like, well, how cute we gonna look in the calf. And we're not thinking about, you know, our future after college. Like a lot of us are just not in that mindset. I know I wasn't. But until I kept going to her, she was actually my advisor and one of my professors. And she told me like, start looking into some internships. Like, Brittney, where do you want to be? You know, I was in South Carolina. I grew up in South Carolina my whole life. I knew I didn't want to live in South Carolina. So from that talk from her, you know, I started looking for internships like in Charlotte or Florida or DC. I landed a work study job in the Office of Communications doing social media. Facebook had just launched. I was a sophomore. Facebook had just launched. And so, you know, the university needed to be on Facebook. And so I worked there under Miss Bennett. And I was like, okay, you know, social media is cool. This is cool. You know, people are up here. My friends are starting to get on Facebook. You know, you can only get on Facebook at that time with a university EDU email address.
Yeah.
So it was specifically, you know, catered to college students. So now we have this new platform, this new network where we can be connected, where we can start groups. So it was picking up pretty rapidly. And, you know, I fell in love with it. And I worked there my whole, you know, until I graduated college. And literally that, just being in that space as a sophomore at 20 years old, 19 to 20 years old, like that was really what got my foot in the door for more opportunities to come in social media marketing.
That's crazy.
I just went in on that high scale of higher ed, understanding like the analytics that got to go out from putting content out on university is huge. And so just from that major position, like that's really what kind of got my feet wet in social media.
That's crazy because like if you're listening to this right now, and I think what Brittney just gave you is gold. If you're listening to this right now, if you're in school, you need to start practicing the life that you're going to live. Start to get involved in things so that when you get out of school, you're going to be an expert.
Absolutely. That's so true because I like if I didn't have that talk, like I would have still been just playing around. Like I wouldn't have been serious about applying for internships while in college. You know, I wouldn't have thought about getting a work study, knowing that we need work study because, you know, we got to eat. Like we got bills. You know, we got cell phone bills. My mama cut me off like at 20. She's like, oh, you want a cell phone? Like, nope, here you go. Like, so I was brought into adulthood like real early. My mom cut me off like real early. And so, but just having that mindset in college, that will really propel you for once you get out of college.
Man, that's gold. That's an absolute fact, man. And I couldn't agree with that at all more. And I'm just glad you shared that message, because we've had, multiple people on the show, but a lot of people never really talk about things that they were doing while they were still in school that they're doing now out of school as a profession.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, and I have a communications degree, and, I thank God for it. But honestly, to be completely honest, Sean, like the things that I learned in college, like I got more experience just from doing the work. Like, I remember a couple texts, but who really remembers like those courses you took in college, like when it's time to apply real life experiences. So, but college was a huge door opener, because of college, like I was able to network and able to meet a lot of people in DC right before I got here. In fact, my university actually paid for my interview up here in DC.
It's crazy.
And so it really is crazy. And I really am grateful for Claflin University for just showing that, like for just seeing the potential in me, as a junior, as a senior.
Man, so like, what gave you so you finished school, right? You get the degree. Yep. What was your thought? Like what was your thought? Like, okay, I'm going to do this next. How did that come about?
Oh yeah, like it's crazy how my life happened literally the day after graduation. So I'm probably maybe one out of a million, but I had a full-time career right after I walked off the stage. Oh, I had a full-time career in Washington, D.C., working for the largest charter school immediately right after I walked off the stage. I had an interview 3 weeks before my graduation. Claflin flew me up there. They flew me, they paid for me a room, paid for my flight to get to the interview. I told them how bad I really, really wanted this job. I wanted to move to D.C. I was like, if y'all can get me up here, I'll figure it out from there. Just get me up to D.C. to this interview. I'll figure it out from there. Literally right after I interviewed up here with them, like a week later, I got the job. They knew that I was getting ready to graduate. I was getting ready to walk across the stage. And they were like, yeah, like you start literally, 2 weeks after college. And I was just like, yo, like, this is wow. Like, for one, I'm 21 years old, 22 years old, just graduated, and I already have a full-time career. Not a job, a full salary, full health insurance, full benefits, all the way up here in Washington, D.C. And so I told my mom, I was like, Mom, like, at that time, like, she didn't have it. Like, we were struggling. And I was like, Mom, like, if you just believe in me, like, I'm going to make it. Like, I'm not going to come home. My mama wrote me a check. I remember to this day. She wrote me a check for $500. She was like, this is my last $500 until I get paid next week. She was like, this is all I had to come to D.C. It's all I had. And so I took it. I was like, Mom, like, I remember giving her a hug. We shed our little tears. And I was like, I promise, like, I won't let you down. Like, I will not let you down, and I'm not coming home. And literally from there, I hit the ground running in D.C. I ended up staying with a friend, this girl I met. We were both from Mullins, from South Carolina. She had a house in northeast D.C., let me rent out a room. And I literally got to D.C. and hit the ground running as this young, thirsty, like 21-year-old.
It's crazy.
I knew that I couldn't let my mom down. I knew I couldn't let, me down. Like, I really wanted her to be proud of me. I really wanted her, like, that was her last $500 she gave me to move to DC. And I packed up my little Honda. At that time, I was driving a 2000 Honda Accord. I cleaned out my dorm. My apartment housing. I was living off campus. Cleaned out my house, like, packed up my Honda. And I was in DC, and I was doing communications. I was doing social media at 21 for the largest charter school in DC.
Wow.
Like, I was crazy on LinkedIn. Like, when I tell you, like, I was a mad person, I was crazy on LinkedIn right before I got the interview. Like, I was finding people who can make decisions.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of times we go through HR and all that, but I was bypassing HR. I was going to the CEO of the school. I was going to principals. Like, I was writing them like, hey, I got a degree in communications. I have some experience in social media. Can I come and do communications for your organization? Can I come and do communications for your school? Can I come and do communications for your nonprofit? Like, I was on it like just writing. And it only took that one person, at that time, Pat was the COO of the largest charter school. And she was like, hey, actually, we don't have nobody doing, social media. I would love to meet you. And it just literally took that one email, that one response, that one chance. And that is what really got my foot in the door to make a difference here in Washington, D.C.
Man, so like what I'm getting from here is that like you got to be persistent, right?
Absolutely.
And but not only just being persistent in whatever goal that you're trying to achieve, but you're getting it, guys, right now from Brittney, that there's ways to get to the person who really cuts the check. There's ways to get to that person, right? And when you figure out those ways to get to that person, you got to be bold enough to shoot your shot.
Absolutely. And that's one thing about me. Like, I've never been like, and it's pretty weird. I'm a weird person, but I like challenges. Like, I like being challenged. Like, I actually like adversities because I know how am I trying to say this? Like, I like being put in a situation that's a challenge for me because it's just going to motivate me even more to get out of it. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense.
Like, I love being faced with some type of difficulty. Like, right now, I freaking got Bell's palsy. But, you would never know. Mm-hmm. But, like, I like being faced with some type of challenge because it just pushes me to work so much hard to get out of it and to go back and share how you can overcome it. Cool. And so I've always been very persistent. Like, I've always been that person like, oh no, they're going to hear from me. Like, I'm going to ask. Like, they can either say yes or no. Mm-hmm. Like, they can either say yes or no and you keep moving. But I have always been so persistent. I've always been that type of person. Like, I'm not taking no for an answer. Like, you got this door up, like, I'm going to build another door. You got this table that I can't sit at, I'm going to build my own table. Like, I've always been just that go-getter mentality. And people who know me from a personal standpoint, they can very much attest to Brittney has always been that person. Like, when we were little, we would go to the skating rink. Like, my best friends would be like, yo, how did you find us money to go to the skating rink? Like, I had us money. I had us a ride being picked up. Like, I've always been like that person to get things done. Like, you can just count on me to get things done. I've always had that just from like growing up and just from being young. And even to this day, like, I'm going to get it done. And that's what I think what really helped me, have a thriving business.
So you obviously are somebody that's going to get things done and stay focused. So you had like, you're with this company, you're doing well with this company. What was it for you to say, you know what, I'm about to create my own?
Oh yeah. So I'm so glad you said that, Sean. I enjoyed being at that corporate, at the school. I enjoyed getting the resources that I need because you got to think, I'm just coming out of college. Like, I had a little experience from, undergrad, but like now I'm in the real world. Like, people are looking to me to make decisions, like I was hired to do something, like I was hired to provide value. And so I enjoyed my time being at the charter school. I worked there for 2 years, quit there, then went to government. I was like, hey, yeah, y'all not, I'm not really making enough to make it in DC. Like, rent is $1,500. Like, that ain't even my check. So, I left the charter school, got hired at government, was making a lot at government, still doing communications, doing social media. But doing social media for government, you're so limited. Being in the social media space, you're creative. Like, it's a creative space. So in government with politics, like it's but so much you can put out. So I kind of got bored with that. And from then, that's when I was like, all right, yeah, I want to start my own. Like, it's time for me to start my own. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't have a name or anything. I knew I wanted to do social media and event planning. At that time, it was event planning. I was all over the place. I knew I wanted to do social media and events because I was always planning some type of events, whether it was a birthday party or some type of luncheon or something. So I knew I wanted a business. I didn't have a business plan or anything. I had an idea, and still working at government. Those ideas built. I figured out a name. I figured out what I want to offer, what type of services I want to do. Like, what was I good at? I knew I was good at social media marketing. I knew I was good at connecting people. I knew I was good at providing value from things that I have learned. And so 2 years in government, I used all their resources, all their paper, all their ink, all their professional development, until that day I got laid off. And she called me in her office, and, you know, I knew it was coming. You know, you kind of know how you about to be fired.
Yeah, you got a feeling.
Like you just know what I mean. Everybody, you know, it's an African American organization, government organization. So, you know, we talk. And so, you know, we kind of knew it was coming. Like, we knew budget cuts was coming. We knew that the fiscal year was coming around. So everybody like, all right, you know, y'all better, you know, get on Indeed. Y'all better start applying. And, you know, I knew I was getting laid off. Like, I knew I was about to be cut. And so I was already prepared for that. You know, I had already had this business idea. I already started putting things in place. I already had things put down on paper at this point. I wrote it out. I wrote my vision out at this point. It was more so the idea transcribing to, you know, actually getting it done, how to strategize to get it done. And so when I got laid off, you know, I walked in there like, oh, okay. You know, it was nice knowing you. Typically when you get laid off, like, people like, shoot, like, how am I pay my bills? Like, you know, I got to eat. I got this. But I was actually very arrogant walking in there. Like, I was really cocky. And I just remember telling her, I was like, you know, thank you, you know, good luck. Like, I'm like, girl, you just lost this $70,000 government job, talking about some good luck. And so, but I knew my faith behind, like, taking, like, people say, take that leap of faith all the time. Like, I really had no choice, but to hit the ground running and whatever that next step I was getting ready to do. Like, it literally had to be worth my while for me not to go back and apply for another government job. And so literally that is what birthed B Carter Solutions in 2014. And it was tough. My first year was extremely tough. Like, I remember crying to my mama, like, hey, Mom, I need help with rent this month. Like, she's like, well, you dummy, you quit your government job. And she fussing at me. And I was like, Ma, like, I want to be in business. Like, I want my business to grow. And so, you know, she had to help me with my rent at that time. But that was when, like, I mean, I had to use all the connections that I had my first year. Like, I was doing so much stuff for free. Like, hey, you know, I'm just starting out. Like, I'm a small, you know, social media consultant. Right then I had to be a social media consultant, like freelancer. Yeah. I had no clients at all. I had no portfolio, but the work that I'd done, you know, at government and from college. So that was my only experience. And so, like, I'm doing so much pro bono. Like, I'm on, oh gosh, I forgot the platform where you're like a freelancer. I forgot the name of it, but I was on there heavy. Thumbtack. That's what it was. Thumbtack. Oh, I was on Thumbtack heavy, like, just doing so much stuff pro bono. Like, hey, you know, I'll run your social media campaign. Hey, I'll set up your Facebook. Hey, I'll set up, I don't think Instagram is even out yet, but I was like, hey, I'll set up your social media. I'll set up your Twitter. I'll do this. I did so much stuff pro bono until I got that one yes. I got that one yes, and I hope she don't mind me calling her out, but her name is Shantae. And Shantae had this this website design company, and it was called Designs by Shantae. And Shantae was that one yes, like my first actual, like, where I sent you an invoice. Yeah. And it was my prices were very cheap. They were like $200 a month, like $200 a month. And, you know, I didn't know anything about retainers or anything then. But Shantae was my very, very first client in 2014. And I told her, I was open and honest with her. I was like, hey, you're gonna be like my trial. You're gonna be my test, not test dummy, but you're gonna be my test company, like, to see how this works and, like, just to see if I can really do this. And although $200 a month wasn't a lot of money, but it got my foot in the door to show that, hey, people actually take me serious. You know, like, I can actually run a social media campaign. I can actually get them results. And from that small campaign, I think we did a 3-month campaign, Shantae secured about 15 website clients for her business. And so, you know, I was like, you can design graphics. Like, you need to do some graphics. Like, we just came up with so many ideas to help her business grow. And from that one client, that one contract from Shantae, the business picked up. And the first year was still, of course, very, very slow. I lost money because at this time, you're just starting out. So, I'm doing everything by myself. I don't have a team. I don't have any social media tools. I don't know anything about Hootsuite at the time. I'm doing everything manually. Like I'm posting manually from my phone. And so, the beginning, it was tough. I just, I had one client, doing a lot of things manually lost money, put a lot of money into it. Year 2 is when the business really, really picked up. And I mean, picked up quite substantially.
What happened in year 2?
And so year 2 was when that charter school that I worked at, actually hired me back as a consultant.
Oh, wow.
So my first job that I ever had in life, my first career, they actually brought me back as a social media consultant to run their marketing, to run their email marketing, to run their video, to run their YouTube page, to help with PR and press. And this was the largest charter school in DC. And it was just all about that relationship that I had with the COO, who is now then the CEO. She remembered me. She saw that I had started a business. She saw that, the route that I was going with my business. And she literally brought me back to do all of the marketing for me. And I was just like, wow, like someone, the largest charter school is now I'm not looked at as an employee. I'm actually taken serious as a business. Right. Yes. And so that is when I'm like, wow, like I can really operate. Like I can really do something. Like, so whatever I'm doing, someone sees it and I'm actually providing value from what I'm doing.
Hey guys, so let me take a guess. You're enjoying the show. And if that's right, please make sure that you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast right now and tag me at SeanRAnthony_. I promise you this is going to help in amazing ways. And while you're at it, hit the 5-star rating and subscribe. With that being said, guys, let's get back to the show. Man, I mean, so like you go through all these things, and like what I like so much about your story, and I thank you for sharing that, is that like you said, you know what, forget the 70,000 corporate job. I'm about to go out here, regardless of being, laid off or having to figure out what's going to happen next. I'm going to bet on myself and create my table. That's crazy. Absolutely. So what's one of the things for you, like, as you've created your business, if you could go back and say, you know what, I'm going to tell Brittney after she just got laid off, I'm going to tell her something that she should have probably had known before she started her own business. What is one of those things you would tell yourself?
Oh gosh. What is one of the things I would have told myself? To really study more about making an impact and not chasing the income. I think once I got out of college and once I started making a little money, I became money hungry. And that's a major fail when you're doing business with anybody. And I started doing things with the wrong motives. I started doing things just to get $1 because I had to eat. I had a certain lifestyle. And then you're up here in DC. DC is the party city. Everybody, looks like they're doing well. And so I actually fell into that. I fell into that of looking the part, but not being the part. And I really wasn't chasing providing value to people. I really wasn't chasing making an impact. I was only chasing the income. And I look back now, about to be in business of 5 years and just seeing the substantial growth from B Carter Solutions from where I started. If I would have known then to really just focus on making an impact, I feel like I would have hit my goals a little bit quicker than year 4 or year 3 to like actually started really making an impact and really making some money. I jumped out there with the wrong intent. I was arrogant, and I remember I made a video. I had got an award back in 2017 Millennial on the Rise. Mm-hmm. And I made a video and I had got once I was getting my award, and I was like, a part of me feel like I don't even deserve this award because I knew my heart wasn't right. I knew I was only in business because it looked cute. Everybody was an entrepreneur. Everybody was saying they were an entrepreneur, but I knew my heart wasn't right. And I knew I hadn't done proper self-awareness to really understand the ins and outs of having a business. Like I was, my first 3 years, my first 2 years, like I was really just in it, because it looked cool, because I could make some money from it, but I really wasn't providing any type of value. And, I can say that now because it's growing pains, as more as you get mature in business, as more as you start understanding business, you see a lot of things that you could have done differently. And you do your very best not to have repeat mistakes. And so if I could say anything from years back then and then looking at it now, just really making an impact and not chasing after an income. Because a lot of times I think once we jump into entrepreneurship, like because it's scary. It's very scary. Like 1 month you can make, $500. 1 month you can make $5,000. The next month you can make $200. So it's extremely scary. And so sometimes we jump in it just because we need money, just because we have bills and we have things we have to pay, instead of actually providing value and instead of actually having a method behind what you're doing and coming up with an authentic strategy and being authentic. That's one of the reasons how my business grew, because I'm really big on authenticity.
Yeah.
Like I'm really big on being transparent.
Yes.
And just sharing what real life looks like. Like Sean, I hate it so much. I hate fluff.
Yeah.
And I hate fluff on social media. And I'm behind the scenes a lot. That's why I was so shocked when you asked me to be on this podcast, because I'm one of those people, like I'm truly fulfilled in real life. Like I'm truly fulfilled without being recognized. Like I'm one of those people, like I don't have to be on a big stage or on a podcast in front of 2,000 people. I'm one of those people, like I would rather be in a room with 20 people where I'm really connecting with you.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you're connecting with so many people right now. Yeah.
And so I look at a lot of things differently. And being in social media and being in this space, and I'm sorry I'm all over the place.
Nah, you're not.
And being in this space for 10 years, like I see social media. I have a love-hate relationship with social media. And I'm just going to be completely honest with everybody who's listening to me and who follow me on social media. I have a sincere love-hate relationship with social media, because social media is so saturated. It's so saturated, and it's so many interactions that's on social media that are not real. There's so many superficial interactions on social media, and people are not really using it for what it is intended for. Like we're becoming connected, but we're becoming less and less connected. At the dinner tables, what we're doing, we're on our phone. When we're out on date nights, what we're doing, we're on our phone. Every event, every concert, like we're on our phones instead of enjoying the moment. So like social media, we're being connected, but we're also being further away from being connected. And so, and I'm sorry, Sean, I jumped all over the place. I probably need to answer your question.
That's facts. I mean, like one thing that really attracted me to like your profile and say, you know what, I'm going to have on the show, because we're very selective of the people we have on the show. And I want to make sure that when we bring people on the show, they are either the best at what they do, or they're about to take over the world in what they're doing. And you're so authentic to the point where I think you even share like your life and some of the things that like you're going through. And like, what's one of the things that's happened to you in your life that's changed your thinking from an emotional standpoint and how you're going to show up? Oh God.
I would say this Bell's palsy journey. And I was so, when I tell you, I was so scared to share this. When I first got diagnosed, I was so scared. I mean, my face was like, it was bad. Like, I mean, it was completely lopsided. I was drooling. That's why I was like, okay, yeah, my diction is not ready to be on nobody's podcast. But this journey, I mean, even before the Bell's palsy, like I was always very authentic, because I believe in people will support your brand. People will support your business. People will support you when they know how authentic you are. People support a brand. They support you when they know you as a person, when they know that you're not about fluff, when you're actually working to serve them. And so this Bell's palsy journey really just opened up my eyes to show, and I wanted to show people, like, no matter how many followers you got, no matter how much your engagement or whatever it looks like you can have a mountain. Like, everybody is going to go through something. A lot of people, they only show their highlight reel. You know, they only show the good. They never show the bad, whether that's in your health, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your marriage. But like, I want it to be different. Like, I want it to be that person to show you like, okay, yeah, I have, you know, this X amount of followers, but I also want to show you that I am a real person. I am human. Because that's what social media is about. Like, the people behind these accounts are human. And, you know, you have to be able to connect with them. And that's what honestly grows an authentic brand. When you can authentically connect with a human. Right? And so, one thing that really drives me, is just people being grateful. You know, be grateful for where you are in business, and don't compare yourself to somebody else's journey. You know, like, be grateful for where you stand in business. Yeah, you may not be making 5 figures right now. You may not be making 6 figures right now, but capitalize on those relationships that you are making money. Like, some people aren't even making a dime, but they're still operating, you know, with love. They're still operating, you know, being very kind and being very humble. And that's one thing that I'll always be, no matter how much money I make, no matter how many followers I get, none of that matters to me. Like, I'm always going to be very humble. I'm always going to be very kind. I'm going to respond to every single comment. Like, people who follow me, they know I respond to every single comment. Like, that day I put up my Bell's palsy video, I had 644 comments. My husband was like, it's impossible for you to respond to every one of them. So you sit here and you watch me. Like, I responded, thank you, whatever, to every single comment, every single DM, because to me, like, it's about being personable. Yes. That's what social media is about. It's about being personable. It's about taking the ego out. Take that ego out, because having an ego, that will deter your business so quick. That will take your business from here to zero so quick. And I see it so much on social media. I see it so much. People, you know, they're saying they're trying to help you. They're offering this course, but they're really in it just for the dollar, man. And like, I'm really grateful that, you know, you asked me to be on this podcast. But I'm just one of those people. I sit behind the scenes, and, you know, I look a lot. Like, I'm okay without being recognized. I'm okay without being on the stage. I'm okay just sitting back and doing the work for people, and, you know, really making an impact. I'm sorry, Sean. Did I answer your question? I always go. I always.
So one thing I gotta tag on a little bit about, like for you, like, you see what people do wrong, right? And you see what people do right. What are like some of the things, if someone's listening to this episode right now and they know you're a guru when it comes to growing social media.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the things that you see that are wrong?
A lot of things that I see that are wrong is that people aren't very transparent on social media. They aren't very authentic, and they're not telling their personal story. Like, people are putting out on social media what they think people want to see, opposed to actually just telling your story. You know, like, just building your brand based on who you are. Like, what do you love, and really understanding your audience. That's the biggest thing when people come to me for consultations. That's the biggest thing that I see when I go and teach, when I go and speak. The biggest thing that I see is that people don't understand their audience, and they don't understand that everybody isn't going to benefit from your service. You know, you have to know exactly who you're catering to. Like, you have to understand exactly who can capitalize on your services. Everybody doesn't need your service or your product. So be able to capitalize. You can't sell to everybody. And that's another pet peeve when I look at social media, when I do these consultations. People out here selling to everybody. Yeah. Like, you can't sell to everybody. You know, everybody doesn't need your project, your products or your services. Like, you have to be very, very strategic in business. Like, I'm very, very strategic when it comes to B Card Solutions. And that's what I feel like is how a business will grow. If you're very strategic, you know, I'll have an idea, and I'll take that idea, then I'll strategize on it. And from that strategy, then I'll execute it on it. And I call it the ISE method. And I use it almost every single day. ISE, have an idea, from that idea, strategize on that idea. And then from that strategy, execute on it. Like, you have to be very, very strategic. And a lot of times on social media, people aren't strategic. They don't have a strategy. They don't know what to put out. You know, they don't know what type of content that their audience actually likes. because we're so driven in this mindset, and it's a lot of millennials. We're so driven in this mindset of sale.
Mm-hmm.
I need a dollar. They're not actually putting any thought behind what they're doing. They're not actually providing any real value from what they're doing. You know, like my favorite quote, change your mindset and it will change your life. You know, you have to change the mindset. So I tell my team, you know, when we have our weekly team meetings, all right, put yourself in this client's shoes. Like, why is this client unhappy? Because I'm going to be real. Like, we have some clients who are unhappy with our work. And, you know, that just comes with business. Not everybody's going to love the work that you do. But once you figure out why this client is unhappy, you'll be able to grow and you'll be able to scale your business to grow. And so you have to really, and I do it every single time. Like, I don't even call myself CEO. Like, I hate the titles because a lot of people use those titles in vanity. I'm a chief social strategist. Like, I do the work. Like, that's just who I am. Like, my team know I hate CEO. Like, don't call me boss. We don't use words as employees. Like, we're all team members working towards one goal, and that's serving our clients.
Facts.
But once you take that shoe off and you stand in the position of your client, and I ask my team all the time, I say, okay, this is why Jane is unhappy. Put yourself in her shoes. And if this was your brand that you're running and we're paying all this money to this marketing company, why would you be upset? And they're looking at it from a different perspective. So you have to really be able to provide some type of value to what you're doing. Like, people aren't going to pay you money if you're not actually invested in their brand, invested in their company. And I think that's what really sets B-Card Solutions out from a lot of marketing companies, because we sincerely go behind and do the work, like behind the scenes doing the work. I mean, like engaging with people. Like a lot of these marketing companies, not to bash any of them, because there are a ton of marketing companies, but we actually go in and we're engaging. We're sending messages through DMs. A lot of marketing companies are not going that extra step and doing that. Like, when somebody follow their brand, like, we're going in manually sending messages. Thank you for following us. Like, what would you like to see? And starting questions and conversations through those DMs.
Oh, that's deep.
So it's like, you know, you have to have a formula. And I figured out that formula like within year 3. When we first got our first 5-figure contract, I was like, yo, we did it. We figured out. And it's crazy. I can't even say we then, because I didn't even have a staff yet. It was just me. I didn't even get a staff until 2018. And so for the first 4 years of business, I was doing everything by myself, literally everything by myself. Consultation. I was my own janitor. I was my own assistant. I was everything doing. I was a one-man show until I finally got to a point where I needed a team. And you can never do it alone. But the reason why B-Card Solutions stands out from any other marketing company, because we go above and beyond to ensure that what we're doing, that we're providing value. So once we got that 5-figure contract, I was like, yo, this is it. Like, this is that moment where it's like I cracked the Da Vinci Code in marketing. Like, I was like, for a company, not even within my area, across the United States, paid us 5 figures to do their marketing, and we're not even local. That was that moment I was like, yo, we did it. Yep. We cracked that code of showing the value that this company actually stands for.
That's crazy. And like, it takes moments like that, right? It takes moments where you feel like you crack that code, where it gives you the momentum to know that you can go further.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just crazy. Like, I tell my team, and you know, they'll know it, and they're probably gonna listen to this podcast and laugh, because I say it all the time, like every day. How are we providing value? Like, I'll send them articles at 3:00 in the morning. Hey, how are we providing value? And they're like, girl, go to sleep. Like, what are you doing? But I always want them to know, like, how are you providing value to your client? You know, once you get that mindset of knowing that it's bigger than you and you're actually in it to serve, that's when the real money comes, man. It's a lot of people out here who are truly, truly winning. Like, I mean, it's a lot of people out here who are really winning, but there's a lot of people out here who are not really winning. But in my personal experience, I think you're really, really winning when you're actually providing something of substance, when you're actually providing value. And I wanted to make sure that how is B Card Solutions going to be on top of the funnel? How are we going to be at the top? So whenever you think of a marketing company, I want you to think of B Card Solutions. And then once you get to that point, you don't need an email list to send out that you're looking for clients. We have a wait list right now. We serve 33 companies right now with a wait list. But because we figured out what that strategy is, we figured out that the work that we do is of value. And people need this demand. Like, we have a service, we have a company that's in high demand. Every single business needs marketing. And so we figured out that key, that formula, that code of how to pitch our services, but not really pitch our services. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Makes sense at all. It makes a lot of sense, because and all the things that you're talking about, what it does is that you formulated such a good message, such a good brand, that I bet you people are like looking at what B Card Solutions is doing, and they're probably DMing you like, hey, can you help me out?
Yeah, I get it. Oh my gosh, I get it all the time. And, I don't mind providing, guidance. I don't mind providing that. But at the same time, I want people to respect the hard work that I did to get to where I am. It didn't just fall on me. I earned this. I earned to be where I am. So I enjoy when people ask for advice, because my DMs are flooded every single day. My emails are flooded every single day. People, how can you give me advice on starting a marketing company? Can you give me advice? Can you do this? Can you do this? But my first thing to them is, have you done your own research? Have you done your own research? Have you spent those late nights? Like, I barely sleep. And my doctor would tell you, like, Brittney, one of the main reasons that caused my Bell's palsy was freaking stress. Like, I would be going to bed 3 o'clock a.m. and I'm up again by 7 or 8. So I'm not even eating breakfast, because I'm just in that grind mode all the time. And my husband will tell you, like, this Bell's palsy had to slow me down, because I was just always so hungry to make success. Because I'm a goal junkie. Like, and if the video was on, I know you saw it earlier, like, I have so many goals in my office. Like, I have so many goals written all over our apartment, because I have to see it.
Yeah.
And everything that I do in my company is because I'm strategically thinking ahead. Like, I'm not preparing for this year, next year. I'm preparing for 2029. Like, I want to retire by 40 years old. I turn 30 in 2 months. So everything that I do, like securing a team, scaling the business, having an authentic business model, is because I want to align this company to be able, so I can retire at 40 and this company can still thrive. One of my biggest fears for whenever I jumped out in business was that I wasn't going to make it to year 5. That was the biggest fear for me, Sean, that I was not going to make it to year 5, because a lot of small businesses do not make it. A lot of small businesses do not make it.
Why year 5, though? Why year 5? So someone's listening, trying to pick that up. Why year 5?
I put 5 because 5 was just that year for me. Like, if I make it past year 5, like even in marriage, like they always say, like, you make it past year 5, like, you thrive. So I just always had it in my mind, like, even with marriage, like marriage or the business, like after year 5, you thrive. After year 5, you thrive. After year 5, you thrive. So in my mind, I instilled that just from hearing it. After year 5, you thrive. Like, I had to make it to year 5. Like, I could not fail. Like, so if that took me going the extra mile, like, I'm going to do it. Like, put me in a room with any person in my field, I'm going to outdo them. And not even on no arrogance, not on anything cocky or anything like that. I'm going to do the work, and I'm gonna do it faster than you. I'm gonna do it stronger than you. I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to have the results to prove it, because that's just kind of in my DNA, like, to just do the work and do a great job at it. Not just a good job, but do a great job at it.
That's so rare, because like so many people want the keys. I'm glad you mentioned that. So many people want the keys to success. But I think what you're really telling them right now is, hey, you got to put in the work before you get any of those access to those keys.
Absolutely. Like, if people really if I could have, like, people could just be a fly on the wall, like, out throughout my day, every single day, see me at night, seeing the books that I read, seeing the articles that I read, seeing the webinars that I'm on, like, you will see that, because a lot of times people just see people's chapter 27 on social media, but they don't see the work that actually took up to build to chapter 27. You know, you don't see the podcast that we're listening to, the webinars, the trainings,
Yep.
Looking at those failures and learning how to grow from them. You know, people don't talk about that a lot because we just highlight a lot of the success. We highlight a lot of the success, but it's a lot. Entrepreneurship is hard. Like me and my husband the other day, we were cracking up because both of us are full-time entrepreneurs, and we were cracking up like we just literally got in the car the other day. We was like, yo, entrepreneurship is tough. Like, it was just so random. Like, we just got in the car, we was taking groceries out, and we just literally looked at each other. Like, it was just crazy. Like, we were just in sync with that one thought. Because we both had just had a real tough day within our business. Uh-huh. We just literally just stopped looking at each other and was like, yo, entrepreneurship is tough. Like, what were we thinking, like, you know, to get into this? But it's real. Like, and I try to align my brand to let people know, like, just how tough it is, but it's not meant for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like, entrepreneurship is not meant for you. Everybody is not meant to be a CEO. Everybody is not meant to be a founder. Sometimes you are meant to be a director. Sometimes you're meant to be a chief. Not mm-hmm. everybody is built to carry that load of chief executive officer or founder. That's a lot of responsibilities. I have a lot of responsibilities as a founder of this company. Mm-hmm. Not everybody, and I think when people can really understand that and fall back and say, you know what, you're right. I'm not built to be a CEO. I'm actually meant to be one of your directors. I'm actually meant to be your finance person to help you get your finances in order. But everybody wants that title of CEO. Everybody wants that title of being the CEO. And like, really, honestly, like, titles are so in vain. Like, can you handle that responsibility of leading a team? Mm-hmm. For me, I have a staff of 11 now. I would have never in my life thought that, and that's another thing, and I'm so sorry I'm all over the place, but having a team, people are now looking at your every move. They're seeing how you operate under stress. Yep. They're seeing how you handle this client. They're seeing how you respond to emails. Like, not everybody is cut out to be a leader. When you take on that role as CEO, when you take on that role as founder, you have to be prepared for every single responsibility that comes with it. Like, it's not just all cute and you out here on social media, you doing all these speaking panels. No. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to really learn how to run a company, man. Like, it's crazy. But having a team, and shout out to my team because they are amazing, dynamic women. Like, I love them so, so much. They have my whole heart. I have a staff of 11. But even having a staff, and I just got a staff in 2018. It was something that, you know, God said, you need help. Yeah. You know, and I'm not one of those people, like, again, I'm not one of those people to follow trends. Like, I'm not going to get a staff because it looks cute. Oh, my God, they got a staff. Like, they doing good. No, you got to be able to pay people. So that means I needed whatever this company bringing in, you got to be able to pay 11 people. Yep. Like, that's a lot of money. And so I'm not getting a staff just because it looks cute. Like, you have to be able to compensate people. Meaning that you have to be able to scale your business to make this income, to cover payroll, to cover automation tools that you use, project development. Like, you have to run a business and know how to run it. Yes, I ran into so many failures. I ran into so many trials and hurdles, but it allowed me to see that I am built for this. You know, it allowed me to see that I can do this. I can do this. And the mindset that I have providing value over visibility, like, that's what's important to me. My biggest thing is I want to provide value. I don't care about being visible. I don't care about being on the stage. I don't care about showing you my receipts. I don't have to show you that I make 6 figures. I think stuff like that is pointless unless you need it for your business. Like, if you're selling $1 million courses or you're trying to get a sale for $1 million, you have to show me that you made it. Yep. So I get it. So it comes within the business. But for me, I don't have to show you that we make 6 figures because my clients, they know. Yep. You know, I know. You don't have to show the amount of money you make. Like, provide value. You don't have to be visible.
You provide value, and everything else that you are chasing, everything else that you are wanting, it's going to be like a magnet and how it's going to become attracted to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, the biggest thing that really brings me true fulfillment is that I'm actually happy with what I'm doing, Sean. Not a lot of people are happy. Not a lot of people are happy within their business. They're doing their business because they got bills and they got children and they got family life, they got responsibilities. But I am genuinely happy. And the team will tell you, like, I actually still do the work. Like my husband the other day, he was like, how you got a staff and you still busy? I'm like, because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing social media. Like everybody on B Card Solutions, like they have their own individual accounts who we manage. And I got my own 5 accounts. Like I have 5 accounts who I do, their social media for. I enjoy doing the work. And that's the biggest thing in business is actually being truly happy. If I die tomorrow, God forbid, I will die happy. I will die knowing that I don't have any stress. I don't have much debt. Like I'm in a good place financially, but at the end of the day, I'm happy. I'm really, really in a happy place. And I think it took a lot for me to get to this happy place. Like it's crazy. It's really crazy, but I really get I won't say inspired, but what really brings fulfillment to me is like people coming to me and saying like how I truly inspire them. And I was like, wow, like I'm just being me, I'm just being real, but I'm inspiring somebody. And for me, that's really true for fulfillment is like being able to inspire somebody just by being me and being authentic, man.
Man, that's love. I mean, that's love. And that's why people are so drawn to you. So I got to ask you the question, Brittney, that we ask every single person that has ever been on this show.
Yeah.
If you were that current or former student asking yourself the question of the podcast, school's over, now what? What advice would you give?
Oh, gosh. School's over, now what? Advice I would give to you is change your mindset and it will change your life. If you want to be successful, you have to find ways to emulate success. Like you have to make sure that you're laser focused on exactly what you want to do. Like you have to know exactly what you want to do, and whatever that is, stay completely laser focused on it until you reach that goal. Like, don't get distracted. A lot of times we get so distracted from what we see on social media, and even myself, and we lose focus of what we're actually trying to accomplish. But you have to stay laser focused, and you have to change your mindset. At a very, very young age, I decided to change my mindset of who I hung around. I got a mentor who was making 6 figures. I wasn't even nowhere near making 6 figures, but I got a mentor, and I don't mind shouting her out. Her name is Maureen. She took me in under her wing. She's a franchise owner. She's a client of mine. And she saw the potential in me as this young African-American female who had a marketing company. She was paying this marketing company a lot of money a month, and I wasn't even charging nowhere near that. But just from being around her and seeing how she operated her franchises, like really allowed me to change my mindset. And the people who you hang around will influence you to win, influence you to be lazy. So at a young age, coming right out of school, I encourage you to change your mindset. Who are you going to be hanging around? Like the top 5 people who you hang around are the top 5 people who you're going to be like. So figure out what your goals are, what you want to focus on. I have a 5-year plan, I have a 10-year plan, and I have a 20-year plan. And I have it written out because I believe that when goals are written out, it gives you much more motivation. And it's actually a study. I actually read it strategically. Once you have something written out in front of you, your brain is more inclined to actually accomplish them and do them, opposed to having notes on your iPhone, or your iPad or whatever. But once you figure out what that goal is, stay laser light focused to achieve it. Like literally stay laser light focused on achieving it. Whatever that looks like, whether that's investing in yourself, investing in that goal, investing in that dream, investing in that vision, surrounding yourself, and also stop asking and start giving. Start giving. I think one of the things that has allowed me to, be successful is that I give back a lot, and I don't showcase it. I do a lot of giving behind the scenes. And I think, and I know God honors that and God sees that. And so that is one thing that's really big when it comes to being in business. Give, but to a certain extent, know your worth, but also do a lot of giving. Do a lot of things for free. Do a lot of things pro bono. Don't always have a price tag on something. Like a lot of times I'll take a lot of speaking engagements just to pour into people because I actually want people to win. You know, I'll do a lot of things and don't charge for it because I actually want to pour into people because people didn't pour into me. Like I had to pay for a lot of stuff to get to where I am, but I don't want to be that same person. You know, so that's my advice to anyone on this podcast. And you don't even have to be, you know, just coming out of school. It's for anybody. Like, change your mindset and it will change your life. Like, if you want to be successful, you have to emulate success. So what does that look like? What does success look like? A lot of people don't know for them personally, what does success look like for them? You know, a lot of people, they want to make money, but how much money do you want to make? And once you figure out how much money do you want to make, what are you using that money for? Like a lot of people don't have actual goals behind it. Like they want to be successful, but they don't know why they want to be successful. So you have to figure out that why. Like, why do you want to be successful? Why do you want to make six figures? Because it's cool? Because people like, why do you want to make six figures? Like, people don't know that answer.
Yeah.
And you have to know your why. You have to know, why do you want to be successful?
Man, that's so real. That's so real. And I thank you so much for just being on the show, dropping so many gems, helping people discover like their purpose. And you're right. Like, if you're not laser focused, if you're not blocking out the noise, you're never going to do what you were destined to be. Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Sean, for even, you know, having me on the show, for even finding little me on social media. I'm truly grateful. And I really thank you for the opportunity to just, you know, share just my experience.
Man, without a doubt. And we're definitely going to stay in contact. And I know somebody's listening right now. They're saying, okay, I want to find out, where is B Carter Solutions? Where can I find out more about Brittney? Give us all your info.
Oh, awesome. So you guys can find me. My personal page on social media is Carter Love, CARTER Love. On Facebook, Brittney Carter McKinnon. On Twitter, I do tweet. On Twitter at Brittney S. Carter. All of my business pages are all the same, B Carter Solutions. Instagram, is B. Solutions on Instagram, and everything else is B Carter Solutions on all other platforms. And yeah, feel free to follow me. Feel free to shoot me a DM. I respond to every single DM. I respond to every single comment on social media. But yeah, you know, any advice that you guys need, like, feel free to hit me up. I'm very open to pouring into people.
Love it. And for those of you that are listening, always remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it. Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at Sean R. Anthony _ and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.